I now invite Professor Dr. T.P. Shashikumar. Dr. Shashikumar.
Namaskaram. So thank you, Chair. So I must thank formally Anurima for making this happen. I'm glad that we had a good start with a lot of rimas, Madhurima, who gave your most famous, correct, song, right? What is that? What does it mean?
So if nobody answers to you, you might take the path on your own.
We are all here together and somebody says you take your path alone, yourself.
If it's not the preferred way, that if there is no one to follow you...
We have so many people to follow, no?
Not always.
See, this is what is critical thinking. You understood? You all heard this. But have you thought about this? Probably Gurudev was so lucky that he had a Mahatma with him. Correct?
Both were lucky.
Both were lucky. Both were lucky because they tapped each other on back. From 15 to 1941, when Gurudev left. Until then they had a good company. And that company was, you are the reason for this. Because you chosen that talk. That song, I am taking it from there. Correct? So, I was discussing with a great professor and then I asked him, do you agree with this? And he said, yeah, both. So this both, that is dialectics. You have different views, right? Correct? So that's a point which I am trying to come to. What happened was 2019 I was in US and we had an ethnic expo which is going to come, and I taught Bhagavad Gita in a church because we didn't have temple in that city, and probably that is the first Indian programs, Hindu programs in a church in that city. I got the priest as good friend. One day instead of him, Sunday program was by me. So I played the role of a priest. And it's in a state called Indiana. Indiana state in America, one of the state. So I called it as India in bracket Na. Right? And I said there is a bridge between India and Indiana. And we conducted so many programs. There was a beautiful choir group who sings for the church programs. Lost your connection. Internet is lost. So, I wanted these singers who are Native American singers to sing Indian songs. So I picked up so many great people singing the same Eklo Chalore, including Amitabh Bachchan, motivated them. And the priest came, looked at every lyrics by lyrics and said, no, I don't agree with this. Because we want the community feeling in the church. And in the church, this is not acceptable for us. Got it? That is critical thinking. You don't have to agree with, you should have a panoramic view. Look at it from different aspects. Every one of us have got our own views. If we are thinking, and we are supposed to think, we can think and become thunk. Whether to reflect or not, that's a different matter. Whether to give an opinion or not, that's a different matter. It depends. Depends on the situation. But you have the freedom to think. Silently, yesterday I sang it little louder. silently I was doing a prayer even today before the starting. We all keep praying. What is that? Guru Brahma. What does it mean? If you don't think, there is no thinking. And how you should think, should critically think. Guru Brahma. So what is Guru? Who leads from darkness to light? That's what. Correct. So Brahma. Who is Brahma? The God of creativity. So I get into light only when I start thinking. So I salute you. Who is that? He is an external man or internal? It's internal inside all of us. You know where is Brahma? Where is Brahma? Yeah, Aham Brahmasmi. But where is that Brahma? Hridaya. You have a Hridaya? Guhara. Guhara is in the cave. Hridaya, Guhara, Madhye. In that center, Kevalam Brahma Matra. There is only one item inside your cave, inside your Hridaya. Hridaya, Guhara, Madhye, Kevalam Brahma Matra. And that Brahma is what makes you to think. You know when he will think. You know when you want to speak something about it, in Mayank was telling, when the today morning is beautiful. What do you feel? When you wanted to speak to somebody, you say, I have a gut feeling. Don't you say this? You heard the word gut feeling, right? How many of you use dictionary every day? At least on your mobile. If not, you are not a student. You are a studnut or studnut. When you type student, generally we make a mistake, studnut. You have to thoroughly use dictionary. Probably today I must have used 20-40 times. Minimum 20 times every day. Gut is the diaphragm between your lower tummy and the upper tummy. It comes like this. So the tummy goes up. That's what your feeling of breath is. So what should happen? When you see something, that breath should, breathtaking thoughts you say, right? That's what is gut feeling. So when it thoughts you think it is from the brain, and the feeling comes from the manas. Yesterday I was telling, the buddhi and the manas. I have a book called A Life Made Simple. That was your Facebook's grandfather, Orkut was there. So during that time when I used to have talks maybe 20 years back, I used to write like a Twitter we write today, right? So those days I write on Orkut, and students like youngsters will start replaying or reflecting on that. And all that reflections, few of them which I felt could be shared, I compiled it together and made a book. And that book is called A Life Made Simple. Probably the first one to come out of a social media interaction as a book. Life Made Simple. That's available on internet, you can download. And it's an easy reading book because it's like a discussion. It's not a book to be read continuously. Open any page and read. And many people get solutions because what I discussed was all problems, generally what the adolescents or teenagers faces. A lot of contradictions, conflicts, doubts, everything will be there. And different departments, because I speak on management, so they will also ask. So there, one sloka I will quote from there. Amantram aksharam nasti nasti mulamanaushadam ayogya purusho nasti yojakaha tatra durlabha. It's a best management principle in this world, probably. No single letter is bad. Every letter is good, right? I put them together to make a word. It's so beautiful word. Dog is, some people are scared of dog, but otherwise dog is a beautiful, good animal, right? Yes? Yeah. Son, daughter, no, son, generally son. Generally scolding son only will come, daughter name will not come. Son is also a good word, right? But when you get angry, you use both together to somebody else. Don't you use in Bangla? Right? When you get angry, you mix this dog and son together and scold somebody. Correct? Two words together, when you put, it becomes a bad sentence. If you put them together nicely, amantram aksharam nasti, nasti moolam aushadam. There is no root which is useless. But put them together, it is used for different purposes. So you have to look the pakkuda. Pakkuda is the maturity. Look at where, when, what, how to be used. So it has got different interpretations from different levels. So how do you understand this? Is it understood by your feelings or by brain? It's a big question. Which is correct? Whom should I listen? Should I listen to the beautiful song with all that raga, tala, bhava, all the rhythm which has got? Or should I look at which Melakarta ragam it belongs to? And how Melakarta ragam comes? And why is it named as this? And what is the Kadapayadi number system, mathematics, which is used for? Do I enjoy the song or am I thinking too much about it and spoiling the world? Understood? I keep saying a biologist will see a rose flower. What they will do? They will open it and then see inside and learn the biology out of it. They will spoil the whole thing, right? So sometimes your thinking becomes too much. Your enjoyment is lost. Right? I love to eat mirchi bhaji. Yeah, nice smell. Right? It's tempting. What happens? Many of you will get feeling. Feeling comes from where? I have a beautiful poetry in the book which I gave there. The feeling within the teeth. The feeling is, generally people talk about eyes, right? But I said feeling comes in the teeth. When you get angry, what do you bite? So I gifted to them one dentist and then he gave free treatment for me. For appreciating his job, right? Right? So it says, I told her that this is actually the bund which stops the words not to come out. It's like the water is stopped, no? But sometime once it opens, finished, everything will come out. I have to be very careful. So, I want to eat mirchi bhaji is a feeling. But then immediately I will think, no, that could create problems. Last time I ate in so and so shop, in so and so place, it created problem for me. So what happens? You are thinking what happened earlier and connecting to the present, and then you are confused whether to eat or not. So ultimately you will decide, no, I will not eat. Then what will happen? In the dream you will get a mirchi bhaji and your sleep will not be good. But assume you ate, what will happen? After some time it will start burning inside and you will say, oh, I should not eat. So yesterday I was telling, right? Oh, I should not have is the biggest conflict. So the conflict is always between the buddhi and the manas. Always it is between buddhi and the manas. There is a feeling and there is a intelligence which is logical reasoning. Analytical skill, logical reasoning, everything, mathematics, grammar, structure, everything comes from there. So if you are too much in calculations, too much of mathematics inside life itself, we keep on thinking, the moment is lost. I keep saying present is a present. Present also has another meaning, right? Gift. Present also means gift. So present is a gift. Present given by God. And what are we doing? We always think about, oh, too much of rush. Terrible traffic. So what should I do? Start early. And that day when I was driving, there is no traffic. Then what do we think? Oh, why did I start early? I wasted my time. And assume that the whole road is free. I am sure in Kerala and Bangla, things are same. The whole road is free, we are in trouble. That means there is a bandh. Hartal. Very common word, right? Hartal. Everywhere it's locked. So once it is there, if no road vehicle is coming, we are worried. If vehicle is coming, we are worried. This is only for human being. Because we have this past experiences keeping us reminded that there is something wrong. Because we read. So knowledge creates problem for us. I'll ask you a blunt question. Will you be able to swim? I'm a swimmer, I know how to swim. So I'm going to put you in water. Will you be able to swim? Where else I will swim? In water only? No. I will swim. Sure? Yeah, sure. I will put you in the middle of the sea. You know, every advertisement have star and then say conditions up there, right? So don't agree with anything. If you agree with something, you feel that you know, but really you don't. because conditions are always there. Correct? I keep asking, will you be able to climb the steps? No. Will you have fear? No. Because you have not thought about a step which is more than 10 steps in your life. But I am putting 300 steps. What will happen? And have you ever, you must try this in life. I have tried all this. You have seen the service of Airtel and all that. You have a tower, right? You must go on top of it once and then stay. You will see the whole world is revolving. And most of the people cannot climb on top of it. And you have to give them a lot of money just for that courage to stand on top and then look at it. The whole world will around. It's not that simple. So when you say you can climb, always there is a condition. Right? So what happens to us if you are a person who has got this ability to think in panoramic, not in one direction, look from different directions and then understand there is something which is catchy. Who will think this? The person who has got always a critical thinking. What will happen to them? They will become unhappy most of the time. The more thinking is problem always. If you don't think, you have no problem. If you keep on thinking, you are adding more problems to your life. But some people say, so what is life? Life is moderating between your two edge, head and you have to have feeling, but you should also have critical thinking. The best example for this is Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is asking, giving lot of logical reasons. If you don't fight, what will happen? If you fight, what will happen? The second chapter itself is Sankhya Yoga. What is Sankhya Yoga? Logical reasoning, critical thinking. Think about all that what happens around you if you don't do it. Right? But then after some time, he takes him to bhakti. What is bhakti? It's a feeling only. So soothen it. So what is life? Life is balancing between. But Nelson Mandela once said, you cannot have two edge. What is two edge? You cannot have head and heart. Balanced is very difficult, he said. It's really true. The creation itself is, ladies are created with a lot of heart. And the gents think that they are created with a lot of head. You have to think in between lines, then you will realize it. Right? So it is difficult to have both head and heart. So critical thinking is not possible if you wanted to enjoy. And if you want to be with a lot of not emotions, lot of feelings, no. I want to be good with all my logical, practical we call, right? You have to be practical. So you will think about your pocket, practical. Two friends are going and you want to have ice cream. No. Should I pay for the other person? What should I do? In West there is no problem. Even if husband and wife goes, the bill comes, they share the money. My share here, your share here. Because they always not having that attachment we call. It's not there. India we have more attachment. No. The ultimate attachment is called boundedness. I am binded by people. I don't have freedom. When I left my job, after 20 years of service, it was very hard for me to leave governmental service and then say, no, I am going to social service activities. Not that I have to take permission from my family, all my relatives. So many people will say, who will, no? Don't you see this? So you have to get consensus, convince people around you. It's not that simple for you to live. That's because we are more binded by our relationship. So Bhagavad Gita, most of the time when you read a translation, our problem in India is very rarely we see. I'm little lucky that I have not learned Bhagavad Gita with English translations. So when you read, even Shankaras when you read, if you read Shankaras with English translation, you will see most of the places Bhagavad Gita says attachment and detachment. No, it doesn't talk about attachment and detachment. If somebody says that, that means that English is not perfect, or somebody would have translated like that. It is bandham, bandhanam. Words are used very specifically. Bandhanam is not attachment. If Krishna is not attached to, if there is no emotional feeling, he would not have taught Bhagavad Gita. I have an emotional feeling. That is why I am teaching. I should have an emotional feeling with my student. That's why I keep saying, So and so is my student. My student. The my is coming, right? Which is your university? Your university. Do you want this? Yeah, we own it. That's a feeling, right? Yeah? Is it logically you have a no? Oh, or will you keep saying that no, this is my house? Is the document is in your name or your father's name? And then still you will say it's your. Why? Yeah, because you have a affiliation. That's what I'm saying. So we own. The ownership is the feeling, right? The ownership is not logically correct. If you go to a court, they will say no, it's not. You are wrong. But okay, you have 2 kids for your father. Will you say it's our father or my father? Share only. No, one half only. So will you say half? No, you don't say this. And critically, if you think, you have many problems also sometimes. The spouse is called better half. Why better half? Where is the best half then? You understood what I'm saying? Look at it. Look at the word by word. And if you don't look at it, then you are not having that ability to learn. And if you don't learn, so knowledge creation comes from critical thinking. So what's the purpose of critical thinking? Knowledge creation. Not for feeling. Feeling should be without all that. And in between, you don't know where to make the balance, otherwise you will have a problem. That's why we say, yesterday also I said, Acharyat Padamadate Padam Shishya Sumedaya Padam Sa Brahmacharibhya Padam Kalakramenacha. When I explained B, I said, Acharyat Padamadate. 1/4 comes from the Acharya. You have to think yourself for the 1/4 knowledge. Padam Sa Brahmacharibhya. When you share knowledge between your friends, what will happen? Everybody will give their own feeling. All of you are sitting and listening to my class. Each one of you will have different knowledge. Assume you make a note. Do you think your person who is sitting beside also wrote the same note? You are not writing the notes actually. You are writing the reflections from you on each one of my word. The way you interpret it. Correct? Correct or not? So what is that interpretation? You are creating your views on that. Your reflections on that. Shankara said, Manam darpana samanam. Your manas is like a mirror. It's concave or convex depends on your mentality. So sometimes what do? You exaggerate something and say, oh, yeah, it's great. Somebody will say, it's not good. Why? Because your mirror is either convex or concave, not a plain mirror. As it is, you will be able to understand, very difficult. Because my ability to put my feelings, my thoughts into words are limited. Nobody can. In this world, nobody can. That is why it said 25% only can communicate. And from your knowledge, what do? In your brain, each word comes, then what you will do? You will start, oh, this is what it means. You will criticize, you will judge, you will compare. Oh, same thing was told by somebody else and that was a different view. You will start comparing. All this happens in your brain. 50,000 million reactions happens on each one of the word. And then what will happen? You will get into a conclusion. This is what he said. No, that's not what at all I said actually. It's entirely different sometimes. Right? Assume that there is somebody who is sitting in behind and she is having a lot of struggle. He is looking here and there to see my face because somebody else, taller one was sitting. So what did I do? Come and sit in the front. Finished. Actually, she wanted to run away in between the class. So I pulled her here. From then onwards, she is not able to listen at all because she is thinking what this fellow has done. How do I escape from this class? In between, at least something she was listening, thinking good what I did. So my thinking is wrong, no? So I think that you think like this, but that is not what you are thinking. The perceiver perceives the way the perceiver wants to perceive and not the way the speaker wants the perceiver to perceive. You heard this? It's a beautiful word on perception. The perceiver, you, perceives the way the perceiver wants to perceive and not the way the speaker wants the perceiver to perceive. So it's always in your mind. You are in a turmoil of thoughts. You are in a turmoil of thoughts. Right? And it's so beautiful. I keep saying, oh, people say that I don't have concentration in the class. Wonderful. You are a brilliant student. That's what I keep saying. Who has concentration? You don't think anything else. Only concentrate. Focus. That means what? You are not thinking anything. Correct or not? So if somebody says, I have no concentration in the class, I say, wonderful. Your brain is working. For some people have no concentration. I am a psychotherapist, so many students will come. No concentration in the class. Wonderful. You are a good student. Come to me. But do you have the same problem in a cinema theatre? 2 hours, no concentration. Did anybody throw on the ticket and then say, no, I have no concentration? So why you don't have concentration? Because you have not done your homework. When you go for a movie, what do? You do a lot of homework. You prepare thoroughly. Correct? Yesterday I was preparing for this talk. You know why? We were watching the movie PK. Beautiful critical thinking movie. If you have not seen, think this subject critical thinking and go and don't watch, don't see, study the movie. Every dialogue. In between, if you want to drink water, pause. She says, no, don't go now. This dialogue is full of critical thinking. So yesterday's lecture was, for me, my lecture today, the whole lecture was critical thinking by PK, Amir Khan. Right? How he questions the existence of God, the thoughts, the Shilpa. We have the problem. Yesterday I was telling Sankalpa. Sankalpa is important, right? Each one of us have, what a beautiful scene there. You have no role unless you are in this culture who can understand different religions. If somebody comes from a different world, the whole religious concept in India is so much confusion. We don't know whether it is correct or not. So it's always difficult. It's not that simple in this world to have a rational, critical thinking without feeling for those people who have only bhakti. So I keep saying bhakti today is an LKG bhakti. You have to go to PG, then you become a spiritual person. So it takes long time. It takes long time. I think 2011, 2001, same November 24th. This is the season in Kerala for Shabarimala, black and black, no? And then do we a lot of puja and all. I was doing it. So I was posting that, what in YouTube I posted to some 20 years back into my memory. And that time I said, 20 years back I was doing it. Do you do this? He was asking. I said, yes, I do it. That time I did it. You have to be ritualistic to start with. We are ritualistic to start with, right? Yes or no? You have your LKG book. You open the book. The first page you will have a snake. And your parents will say, this is snake. This is snake. This is snake. Is it snake or not? Don't ask this question. Is it snake or picture of a snake? But do they teach you it's a picture of a snake? Yes, my father is not there, my mother is not there. I keep the picture of them and then say, every guest tells, this is my father, this is my... Is it your father? The Sankalpa. Understood? When I show the picture of a God, this is God. That's it. The Sankalpa is important. Where does the Sankalpa comes from? Is it in your feeling or in the brain? Where is your studies? For when you prepare for examination, do you prepare it in your brain or in the feeling? Yeah, that's a problem. That's why when question paper comes, you have to think. Suppose you are not. I am not preparing with my brain. Are you seeing that I am preparing with my brain to speak? No, it comes from the feeling. You understood? When it comes from the feeling, do you have to think? It just comes. Will you look at your mother and say, oh, this is my mother? Will you do that? When you want to go home back, will you have at the junction, whether this way I should go or this way I should go? Will you think? Why? Your leg also knows. That is consciousness. You know, when I am moving my hand, do you think I am moving it intentionally like this? It automatically comes. Do you know the driver drives? When he apply clutch, brake and all that, is he thinking and doing it? Yeah, while you are learning, you will do that. You understood what I am saying? When you are learning driving, if somebody makes noise, I will say, don't make noise, I am driving. After some time, what you will do? An expert driver will start singing and doing tabla on the steering, right? So accelerator, ABC, accelerator, brake, clutch will become so familiar to you, your driving becomes a meditation. When your mother makes chapati, do they make a geometric box and then put a round there and then you don't know? They will be talking and scolding somebody else also. When they scold, does it become chicken neck? No. Do you understand chicken neck, right? The 0 point here, that's like a chicken neck. That's what we call the borders. Will it become a different shape? It doesn't become it. Just become round. How does it become? Because chapati making is meditation. Got it? So it comes very close to the feeling. So you have a logical thinking which is not superficial. Deep inside. When you go deep inside driving becomes so smooth. And you are superficial, it will be like the waves in the sea. Everywhere brake will come, clutch will come, you will start. No, when the city is so rush, you are so agitated, driving is very horrible. I said, you don't enjoy. No? I enjoy. Every drive I enjoy. Assume that your road is very bad and you are driving somebody's car or you are riding in somebody's car. Every ride becomes a ding, 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 right? You have to pay in a park when you go, you have to pay 200 rupees for such a ride. Free of cost. Your auto rickshaw drive. Wonderful, no? What a beautiful city is India. You want to enjoy, what you should do? Accept the reality. What is critical thinking? You are eating pani puri on the roadside. What a taste. But one day what happened is, by chance you looked down and then you saw the drainage pipe there. Oh, finished. All that taste until yesterday what you had, from today onwards you will not be able to eat. Gone, no? Why? Because unnecessarily you are seeing something. So what is the biggest problem in thinking? Your indriyas. So that is why yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara. What is pratyahara? Control your ear. You may see a lot of things. No. Your consciousness should be not with the indriyas. It should be the superficial. No. The deep inside consciousness. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Keep saying doesn't matter. I don't mind. If that is there inside you, you will enjoy. Otherwise, pratyahara is not there, you cannot reach into dhyana. Dhyana is what is focusing. Why you are not able to have a dhyana inside your reading? Because you think, it's all not required. Why do you need this? To pass exam. Why should I pass exam? Why should I pass exam? To get a job. Therefore, what happens? You are not enjoying the present one. You are climbing the mountain. You don't like climbing the mountain, you want to reach on the top and get an award. So what is in your mind? The award, but not the enjoyment. So every step will become a trouble for you. You are not having feeling because you have an aim. Too much of aim, too much of planning in this world makes you deep down inside this. What? The deep despair, right? Dumps of despair. Annie with an E. See that movie, Annie with a E. Beautiful series in Netflix. So what happens in this life is too much of planning. The brain is too much and you lost your heart. No, it should not happen. You should always have this ability to understand what around you. You can have a response, you can have a reply, you can have an opinion, you can have a criticism. Yesterday I was talking about criticism, right? Criticism is not a bad word. The translation became a bad word. The criticism, how do we understand the word? By translating into our, not our tongue or mother tongue or other tongue. And you understand this other tongue in the mother tongue and there is a lot of confusion. Therefore criticism became a bad word. Don't be criticized. I don't like people criticizing me. Actually criticism is rupanam, nirupanam. So critical thinking is the views from different people at different style so that your shape becomes better. Right? Beautiful garden. What does it mean? The rose garden is beautiful. What does it mean? Only rose should be there, right? If any other plant is there, what you should do? Remove it. Is it beautiful? I don't know. I like one of the song which when I come to Northeast I sing a song. I was just searching for that in my diary. You look for the song Ekata Swatantrata Samanata Rahi. Heard this? Samanata Swatantrata is freedom, right? Everyone should have freedom. Do you think a nation runs with everybody's mind in a different style? Is it possible? No, you have to unite them. Ekata and you should have Swatantrata. Ekata Swatantrata Samanata Rahi. I don't have to sing for you. Just listen to that song. You will see the beauty. And it talks about you should have different paragraph. Every paragraph has to be same style or different style. I'm from mathematics background. So we have a proof for theorems. How do we prove theorems? Step by step. And there is another method called reductio absurd method. The first think that this is not correct and then start writing, and ultimately you will reach into a contradiction and says there is a contradiction on your thoughts, therefore what you thought is not correct, the reverse is correct. That method is called a reductio absurd method. We use it in every theorem proving. So mathematics use a lot of critical thinking. So what is the critical thinking? We used to use the think the reverse and prove that you are wrong, therefore what you thought is, you understood. This is so beautiful, no? It comes from the philosophy of dialectics. Think entirely different and start deducting absurdity, maybe a lot of contradictions which is not acceptable to you in reality. Then you realize, oh, what I thought is not correct, and you start correcting. So you should have a table in which says what is good and what is wrong, what is correct and what is not correct. Yesterday I mentioned this, so I am just skipping that. So we have a great concept of Bhagavan in which the Murti is different, Pratima is different. Look at the word meaning in Sanskrit dictionary. Then you will understand God is not the Indian concept at all. India, God is not there. The sacred image is called God. We had a great fun. If India is considered as a government, we have different government departments. Suppose the God is a government, yesterday I mentioned, you want to give different portfolio to different people. The Trimurtis will have major roles, and we have an education minister. Who will be education ministry? Saraswati. Right? R&D department? Brahma. Wealth department? Lakshmi. And a lot of activity? Vishnu. Karagre vasate Lakshmi. This is how I teach. Karagre vasate Lakshmi. Where is your Lakshmi? This is money only, right? Money is shown like this. Karagre vasate Lakshmi. Her husband is also there. Karamadhye Saraswati. Her husband is also there. Karamule Stida Gauri. Prabhade Karadarshanam. Highly motivating. Everything is in my hand, not somewhere else. And if you understand this concept, you understand Vigraha is not outside, it is inside you. There is a saying, Vigraham Sulpa Buddhinam Sarvatra Vidhitatmanam. When you light lamp, you know who has to light lamp? Lighting lamp is to be done by Dujan. Who is Dujan? Brahmin. Who is Brahmin? Where teaching and knowledge is his business. Brahmin is who has got Brahma, who understands Brahma. Now you understood. In your Hridaya Bhugaravadhya, there is research inside you. And you keep on thinking. Such people are authorized to light the lamp. And lighting lamp, there is Sastra. Ekavartyam Mahavyadi Dvivartistu Mahaddanam Trivartyam Mohamalasyam Chadurvartyam Daridrada Panchavartistu Badram Syal Dvivartyam Sushobhanam. How many wicks have to be put is also part of our Shastra. And in the way in which it has to be put, every small thing has been thought about why it is to be done, how it is to be done, and who has to do it. This is what is actually thinking. So if you have this ability, you are thinking and feeling, oh, I am doing it with a feeling, bhakti, but I am doing it as per the Shastra. If I don't do it as per the Shastra, this becomes only a ritual. That's why we keep saying, people do it as a ritual, right? So casual. But ritual is not casual. It with lot of feeling and thinking around it. So don't look at critical thinking as something which is bad. It is something to refine things, including with a lot of heart. So it's not a head business. It's a heart and head business together, and fill it with the fullness, and therefore your head and brain and Atma will become one. That's what yesterday I told. Uddhared Atmanatmanam. Raise it up to such a level, your Atma becomes the head and the heart. Everything gets unified. You don't have, the consciousness becomes one. You know, biotechnology, we have the DNA pattern. And if you look at the DNA of a person from somewhere, you can take and so person is this. That means in your body, every part has got almost the same DNA. But your eye is seeing. How eye is seeing? What is seeing inside the eye, which is that is performing the seeing business? It is not the DNA, it is not the matter. It is the consciousness inside that. I am speaking, I am a speaker now. When I go there and sit there, I become a listener. When I go to my brother, I become a younger brother or elder brother, depends on that. So each place have a different role. Each cell in your body have a different role. So who decides what role you have to play there? The consciousness in which I am standing here gives me the ability to speak like this. My cell inside my each spare part decides I have to listen. Oh, my job is today in the ear, and it is not same job. The cell keeps moving. You have got what I am saying? And then it takes a different role. What a beautiful system is this. Who gave that consciousness? And that consciousness is given vidhata. That energy which is given, that's called life force energy. And that life, you look at a book called Seedling, Seedling, DrTPS. That's one of my book. So in which I speak about the life energy which makes this consciousness to us. How do you manage this or control this or direct this or make it into a perfection where your whole body becomes, do you know when I take a microscope and look at it, I will see up to 10 power minus 6 is become micro, go up to 10 power minus 9 it become nano. At that level you will see a lot of gaps. The electrons are there, right? It goes around the neutrons.
You have another kind.
Nucleus, I am aware. My consciousness is 100%. I have got a number here. Right? So when the nucleus it goes around the electrons, then electrons have to go around, there has to be gap and space, right? The space is more or matter is more? The space is more, in your body space is more or matter is more? So are you a space or are you a matter? You are a space. Are you getting what I am saying? See, when I construct a house, I am inside my house and feel I am inside my house. What is house? Is the building is my house? The wall is my house? Window is my house? Door is my house? Or the space is my house? So if the space between this and that is not bad, then I have a bigger space when I go outside and then my bigger house outside my house. So where am I? See, when I used to stay in Delhi, people used to ask, where is your house? I said, many people go around to that house. That's my house. Which house is that? Parliament House. That's my house only. No, I'm an Indian. So all of us have got a house in Parliament, Delhi. Which is that? Own it by yourself because it's your house. Because I didn't have a house there. So if you have a house, you have a problem. You have to go and stay inside. If you don't have a house, you are more free. Are you thinking in a different style now? Got it? I keep saying I have a philosophy in my book on Life Made Simple I wrote. When you get into a bus, you miss a lot of buses. When you get into a bus, you miss a lot of buses, right? Once you miss a bus, you get a lot of buses, right? Once you miss a bus, you will get a lot of buses. This is a advice for young children here around who are looking for pairs. When you get a girlfriend finished, that becomes an island. Nobody will talk to them. You want a smart girl to be around you, but after that, don't become too smart. Your time is over now. Now I will decide how smart you have to be, right? So until you select, you need everybody to be smart. So once you select, finished. Once you get into a bus, you finished all the options in your life. Once you get into a bus, you miss a lot of buses. Once you miss a bus, you get a lot of buses. So think differently always. Don't do selections without thinking. Heart has to select or brain has to select. 1970s it was heart. I think 2022 they need no advisors. They will look at bank balance. They will see what job they will get, where are they placed, what is their parents doing, and how much land they have. Everything they will see. These are all actually epistemology part. The actual Jnana Shastra, that is what it is. Okay? So, good enough? Good enough? Yeah. You are not here or what? Lost? Thinking whether to miss the bus or leave the bus or get down from the bus now, right? Some people are already in bus, so they will be thinking what to do now, whether to get down or not. Sometimes you cannot, the doors are closed. Yeah, he agrees. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shashi Kumar. We are still in this bus. We have some more time that we will spend in this bus thinking about the journey that we have had so far. Shashi Kumar started talking about Akla Tolure, and of course he stressed on the Akla part, but it's more about getting started and then people will join you. And he also talked about Brahma and Brahma. But because one is a god and one is a Vedantin, which is not kind of Ishwar, so that's different. He talked generally about thinking and feeling, how the thinking can get in the way of your experiencing or you're missing the moment, so to say. So he talked about the balance between the heart and the head. And he talked also about subjectivity, like when we are taking notes or when we are listening to people, we are in a sense always reflecting, and what we note down is our reflection of what is going around us. He talked about that he said he didn't use the brain so much, thankfully it didn't show, and it was the feeling that he was able to communicate, and he is a very good speaker. He communicates and engages the audience. He talked about Ekata when he comes to the Northeast. One voice, that is something very problematic. Sometimes it can be thrust upon the manyness of the identities that exist. Of course, he doesn't talk about it. He talks about integrating, I hope. And then he says that roles change. We change. He talked about using sometimes as a brother, sometimes as a teacher, and we all have different identities, which sometimes merge into ourselves. They don't always conflict, and we know how to connect them together. Conflictology, the term didn't come, but all of this seems to have some bearing on the idea of conflictology, that is conflicts, how conflicts come up maybe because of heart and head, because of different roles, and how we see might be different from how others see, and it's sometimes difficult to connect them together, but we can always have a space for different things different perspectives bring to the table. This is what I could make sense of Dr. Shashi Kumar. Of course, his enthusiasm for what he was talking about came out in his presentation, and he engaged with all the audience, and I saw all the students also reacting to what he was saying. So that is a good session that we had. Now, if you have any questions or any clarifications that you want to seek from Dr. Shashi Kumar, then it's open, the session is open. Please. Professor Kaushik Joarkar would like to say something.
Thank you very much, Professor Shashi Kumar, for your very thought-provoking deliberation, and I like your way of communicating with the students and the audience. I was just trying to focus on the theme conflictology, thinking against feeling. This word against, I think I am audible. Yeah. This word.
The use korte parne.
Yeah. So, thinking against feeling. Now, this against seems to me is an exaggeration. Why I am explaining? We usually show our head about when we say that thinking, and to our heart feeling. But I really don't know whether feeling comes from here. Thinking and feeling, both comes from here. Because our heart is here, and usually our feelings are associated with heart, we point to our heart. So that may be one of the one of our tendency to distinguish between thinking and feeling. And if thinking is about reasoning, and reasoning is about choosing between options, then in choosing option there is always an emotional element. So reasoning and emotion, the distinction, yes, these two are different. Thinking and feeling and also willing are different. But these are not mutually exclusive. There is always an emotional element in choosing or in reasoning. How do you reflect on that.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for this wonderful question. There is a saying in Bharatiya Sastra. There is a senior professor who says something. You all agree. Why? He's a senior professor, no? Correct. So what should do? Agree. Yukti yuktam ubadeyam vajanam balakadavi anyatranamavatyajam apyuktam brahmakadavi. Bharatiya Shastram says, don't believe Brahma. Ask him why. Yukti yuktam ubadeyam. Logical reasoning. Critical reasoning is logical reasoning. So ask him why. If he is able to explain and you can agree, you say that, yeah, I understood now. There is a difference between learning and understanding. So, probably when you understand, oh, this is what I understood. You agree with them. So, sometimes we agree with our parents. Is it because we agree totally with our parents? We don't agree. So, what do we do? But we cannot tell them we don't agree. No, I agree with you. So, there is a feeling. Always in our daily life, practical, whatever professor said, it is practically possible. I don't agree with my boss. But I cannot tell him I don't agree because he spoils my CR. So what do? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Everything is yes, sir. But even inside that I am saying, right? But can I show this? Not possible. I keep saying exam hall is a beautiful hall. You know why? When you go to teacher, you have to say yes, sir. Yes, ma'am, and all that. But in an exam hall, you can call your teachers like this. They will come to you and then say, what do you want? Correct? So, the place where you sit. I was a professor of department in one of the colleges. So, when students come, I was teaching MBA. So, I used to ask my students to come and sit, take chair, then only I will speak. Otherwise, I will stand up and speak to them. I showed so much of respect to them. They were, what is it happening here? I said, you are today, but tomorrow you are going to be. So, if you have a different feeling for students, the attachment is entirely different. So it's all you create that feeling around us. Mostly the arguments can be for that purpose. So that is with the full of logic. So critical thinking and feeling, that's why I said you should balance. I think if you know how to balance it, some places probably you have to agree. And after some time, slowly you can tell that, no, this is not correct. I'll tell you later, not now. When you get angry, won't you tell that 100 times I told you don't do this? No, you should not 100 times. 3 times only you told. Will you tell like this to them? You lose your number system also. Number counting is also gone when you get angry. So emotions will not allow your brain to think. The reason is, it is not that it doesn't come from. The Western system has got 2 brains. One feeling brain and thinking brain. Actually it's rubbish. You put whoever scientist name and whoever followers. It's rubbish. Actually, feeling and we associate to heart because, you know why? For any small reaction, the heartbeat changes. The number of breath changes. The normal breathing pattern will not be followed when you have either in a hurry or in a worry when you eat more curry. Your biology, in your biochemistry, in your body changes. The adrenaline changes. The acidity comes. You start worrying inside. So what will happen? Your heartbeat changes. That's why we keep heart as the part of it. In our language, in Malayalam, most of the songs, wherever their feeling is, their heart is part of it. Hridayam is part of any song, right? But we also have another few songs with the English, if I tell you don't like it. Liver. Actually, the chemistry of the body is in the liver. What do you call liver in your Bangla word? Huh? But do you have any song with that? Actually, chemical reaction in your body is controlled not by the heart, only pumping of air. The kidney is what creates reaction, and that is what is biochemistry in your body. But there are few songs in Malayalam. So what do I tell them? You substitute that word with the liver. It looks so, oh liver, you call your girlfriend like that, finished, no? But in some songs in Malayalam, you can see the lyrics says that, oh liver. Yeah. Because they believe that.
What is the Malayali word for that?
I won't tell you now.
Oh.
I don't want you to spoil that song when you listen. Probably you do research and then find out. Right? Karale. Actually, it's Karale.
Karate.
Yeah. Karale means the poet gives that color, the color of love inside Karale. Karale is liver. I don't know. In Bangla, what is that word you said?
Karela.
That is Karela. Yeah, maybe better heart and best heart decides how you are to be called to. So, the opinion can be different, opposition can be different. When I make an opinion, that's only an opinion. I am not opposing you. I am not opposing the individual. I am only opposing the action done during the time. If that can be understood, it is fair and well. I come from a department of space. We have full freedom to object on anything which our chairman says also. The secretary, we can say, I don't agree with you in the meeting. But once the decision is taken, we all will work for that. Until then, in a meeting, we object, but we have no hatred to anybody. In my department, we don't call our director as sir. We will call him as Gopalan, Krishnan. These are my directors. Garg. We will call him Garg only. The respect is not by calling, it is from the heart, So we object to them doesn't mean I object, because I have a role to play in the department. I happen to be in this position because of I took birth early, or maybe somebody took birth later. That's all the difference in the hierarchy. So it doesn't matter at all. I remember when I joined my department in Cochin University for Mathematics MSc, we all had a chair in which the flapping board was there to write. Chair and then flapping board. And what we did was we opened it and stood up in the first day, because that was our graduation job. The head of the department said, this flapping is given to arrest you from not getting up when I enter. You understood? These are all some patterns probably which I learned. I was blessed to be there, and we had only few students, 10 students and 20 teachers. Full of research. This is how it is. I remember in a book I told sometime I don't agree with this book, and that was a classic, like a Bible book, in which I said I don't agree with this at all. And the whole department was looking at what is wrong, where is wrong and all that. So we are ready to even object what is written in the book. We don't agree. So feeling is the balancing. It's a beautiful question. I think that itself can be a topic of lot of debates, discussions, and each one of you, I am sure, will have lot of examples to show. Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful question. So remember this. Yukti yuktam ubadeyam vachanam balakadabi. I can also ask question to Brahma. Why is it right? Anyatranamavatyajam apyuktam brahma kadavi. I don't even value it like a grass. But today grass value is higher. But those days when the poem was written, probably grass value was nil. That's why they wrote it.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving me opportunity to ask question. So I want to know, why do you give importance on thinking rather than understanding? Because understanding is much more important than thinking. We understand there is no doubt thinking has importance. We understand something through thinking, but problem occurs in the level of thinking, but not in the level of understanding. I think understanding of reality, there is no conflict. But we give importance on thinking only, rather than giving importance on understanding the reality.
Actually, the input for all this is data. What is there in your textbook is only data. Each word by word, the name of people, Mahatma Gandhi, it's a data. His date of birth is this, death is this, so and so, so. It's all data. When the data you interpret, that becomes information. So I have got a slide actually. The Vivekananda's Education for Man Making, I made a PowerPoint maybe 20 years back, which I use in classrooms of B.Ed and M.Ed classes, in which I mentioned this. The textbook gives only data. So what teachers gives you in terms of data only. Blah 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 is data. Right? It can be a picture, it can be a diagram, it can be in mathematics and all we draw diagrams. They're all data only. But when you look at it, what do you do is you are interpreting. That interpretation gives you an information. I am going to give you this paper, that's why I am writing it. So it gives you, when you interpret, that becomes information. That information, when you make it yours, you are learning it. So the next process is called learning. And when you learned it, it becomes knowledge. Right? So that's how the data becomes knowledge. Once you get a knowledge, in English there is only one word, knowledge. But in Sanskrit we have viveka, vivechana, different, these are all buddhi, different buddhis. Viveka buddhi, vivechana buddhi. You know this is a fire. That no, I know this is a fire. That is knowledge. Correct? And I should not touch this. No, I should not touch this. Because my hand will burn. That's my viveka buddhi. I know this is good fire for so and so purpose. Vivechanam. Whether that is to cook or that is to fire the waste. Vivechana buddhi. Viveka, vivechana buddhi. So buddhi itself, knowledge itself is categorized different style. When I use it in different places at different times, that becomes my experience. So what is the purpose of knowledge? Purpose of knowledge is to refine it by using it in different places, which is called experience. So, I experienced the class. It's entirely different from I learned from the class, right? The class was a great experience. I experienced the song. Don't you say this? We experience. See, for example, you are traveling from one place to another place. It becomes only a travel. When you experience the travel, you learn so many things around. I know this place is that, this place is that. I'll ask a lot of questions, collect a lot of knowledge. Oh, it was a great journey. You understood the difference between the travel and the journey? Journey is value added. Travel is only shifting place. Look at, that's why I'm saying my class started with the dictionary, right? And look at wordhippo.com. That's a dictionary which I use. Hip, you know, right? Hippo means? Yeah, word hippo means tilt the word in different style and dance with the words so that you understand perfectly well the real meaning. And then you feel, now I understood. So understood?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for your intelligence.
Yeah. That's what is understood. Yeah, I understood. Then the feeling will come in your face. Good.
You want the mic? You want mic? Can you please pass the mic to...
Another 7 minutes more. Correct?
Yeah, almost. Yeah. 20. 12, 20.
Yeah.
Namaste, sir. Since you are a scientist also, so my question goes like this. Like when we talk about thinking, especially the critical thinking, does critical thinking have conclusion? Like for example, you do mathematics and we come to the conclusion that 2 plus 2 equals to 4. And then critical thinking stops there, or whether we have to keep on thinking that whether 2 plus 2 equals to 4 is correct or not. Is it like, and when we say about that, whatever we do like according to the things that is written in the Shrutis, right? And can we go against the Shrutis also? Otherwise, it won't be like critical thinking.
2 plus 2 is 4? Only in 10-digit number systems. You have a binary number system, it's different. When you go to different number systems, suppose you have got a binary number system in the computer. It has only 2 numbers, 0 and 1. Correct? The whole number system is entirely different. The 2 plus 2 is not 4. So, we are in a world where practically what we have. Suppose something happened, we keep on thinking about it rationally, thinking that no, my experience will be useful for something else tomorrow. So we don't close the chapter. What do? We carry forward. That is one of the biggest problem, or that is one of the advantage also. But we know where to think, where not to think also. Sometimes it is controllable, sometimes it is uncontrollable. Somebody in my family, somebody I lost. Do I think about it all the time and then become sad? Yes. Will it become good? Yes. People feel that no, he has got a lot of affinity towards his family. He's a kind-hearted man. He's a good man. He always thinks about it, right? Assume that in a class there is a joke. You are laughed. But going back home, you sit alone and start laughing. Somebody asks, what happened? This is the joke which I laughed. Tomorrow again you do the same thing. After 3 days also you do. What do they call you? Something wrong with you, right? Correct? So it all depends on what is the context and what matters to you to continue with the thought. Most of the time we have a buddhi which is really prapanchikam. Prapanchikam is what is around us, what is good for us today now. The prapanchika buddhi is much better, and then we close the chapter. We are a philosopher, what do? The critical thinking class is over, everybody understood critical thinking. Will we stop thinking about critical thinking? No, we will not. That's research. We don't agree. We start thinking. We don't agree with the book what we read. We don't agree with what Tagore wrote some time back. Because he had Mahatma Gandhi who made him popular probably, or maybe the other way what has happened. They had a tie-up each other. That is why we are choosing that. Doesn't mean that there are no good poets other than him. Possible. If you tell this, oh, it raises somebody's eyebrow. You are all thinking. Does it worth? Yes, it worth. The other day only one of my friend translated Gandhi's greatest book. Which is that? Huh? What is one of the greatest works of Mahatma Gandhi?
Experience with truth.
Yeah. Another one which I love is Gita, my mother. Anyone of you read this book? That's his interpretations on Bhagavad Gita. It gives a lot of thoughts to you. Do you know how much you can talk about your mother? Will you get bored with sleeping on mother's lap? No, you will never be, no? Every time it's a new experience. You gain that happiness. So how many times you will repeat it? As many times. So what do we keep thinking about? Ekla you keep on singing for hours together, months together, years together. Soon, even after 60 years of somebody passed away, you will feel still, oh, it's a great song. Because it has gone inside each one of our feelings. So feeling controls our thoughts. If I am not happy with that also I may think. If I am not happy with that also I will think. That depends on there are two things in your way of what you practice, which is called behavior. And what you continuously do depends on what is your character. That's another great topic, which controls your critical thinking probably. I have a habit of talking to somebody, that becomes my behavior. Suppose you have that character inside you, then only you will superficially show that. Hey, this character will not... You will do it for namesake, but after some time you lose it. So it depends on your character. That's what it is.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any more questions? Yeah. So that would be the last question.
Yeah, let him. Having started, let him. Yeah. We will have one last test also. There is no word, don't take it.
Thank you, DrTPS. It was a wonderful lecture. You said we should have emotional play, and also said that balancing between intellect and emotions. But most of the time we make mistake without critical judging anything. In fact, religious emotions, social emotions. Even in the present time in Kerala, we see that the girls are not acceptable in the temple. So you're always facing this situation for the religious feelings or whatever.
Yeah.
So what is the solution? Please.
No solution. That is because the religious practices are only reunion. Religion means reunion. So it was socially done for the purpose, for that time, for that reason. Whatever you practice in Bengal is not what we practice in Kerala. It's entirely different. You look at every place, it is different. So the society keeps moving at different places, knowing different customs and systems from different places. The achara changes. What you are doing in the practicing in the religion is called achara. Look at this word very carefully. I am using words very carefully. Achara. Achara is not shastra. That is only practice. Achara means what is in practice. What is in practice is not what is prescribed by the system. What is prescribed is called the anushtana. So look at the word anushtana. Anushtana is, suppose somebody comes to your house, I have to give him food. I have to give him a seat to sit. Correct? This is a anushtana. But what I give depends on, suppose I am invited somewhere. What do they prepare for me? What is most delicious for them? So what do we give to God in Bangla is not what we give in Kerala. See, in Kerala itself we have got a small temple in which chicken is given as a prasadam. Heavy rush. Saturday, everybody can book. Is it because, no, next temple meat is varjyam, cannot be entered. But some other temple it can be entered. So does it mean that that is what is? No. That was started by that system of people where they allowed to have this. There used to be liquor in some temples in Kerala. Until very recently. When they had in Dubai also they gave liquor. Actually it's an objected there because of religious practices they allowed. So these are all called achara. Achara is what is practice. That has to go. Assume if I start a temple in Calcutta, my prasadam will be pizza, Coca-Cola, all that. What is that youth require? I will provide. No. Why you cannot have Pani Puri as prasadam? Start a temple, yeah. You will have a good market. That's why I prescribed you PK. Have you seen that movie? Now learn that movie. This will answer most of the custom system and all that. There's a beautiful saying, no? He goes to he can get the knowledge or thoughts about that person by holding the hand because he comes from a different world. So he is holding the lady's hand with a white sari and she said, she's a vidhava, you should not hold hand. Oh, white sari represents vidhava. Then immediately he comes out, he sees a Christian lady dressed up for marriage with white. Your husband died, I'm so sorry, he said. No, he says, then says, no, in a Christian system, it is not white, it is black which shows. Immediately when he comes out, he sees a Muslim with a black, he says, oh, your three husbands, three of your husbands died. Then the one fellow comes out and says, no, I am the husband of the three. The rules are different, right? The rules are for fools.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so Neha, if you have a quick question, if you could manage a quick answer.
Yeah.
Namaskar, sir.
Namaste.
My name is Neha Kamakar, and my question is that if someone's perspective different and mine is different, then how will
What to do?
Then how we reach the ultimate truth?
Yeah, there is nothing called an ultimate truth.
Then we get into the anavastha dosh.
Yeah, what is to be done is either you convince, do all that. Sama, dana, danda, everything you try. Convince. If nothing happens, ignore. Agree and ignore. Understood now? Suppose somebody says, I have to go for a movie, skipping the class. Do you think your parents will agree? No. You say, no, I will not go. But you go. They will scold. Listen, because you deserve it. Because their job is that. What is that done is, we have a paramparyam. Paramparyam is heritage. What is heritage? Somebody scolded somebody scolded somebody. What we have traditionally have to be given to the younger generations. So why your parents are scolding? Because that is what their parents given to them. And so it's a tradition. Somewhere somebody has to change. How it can be changed? It's not an individual. It's a society who can change it. So you have no less control about your society. So until the society changes, what is to be done? Accept it. I have no courage and I don't want to waste my time by pushing it here to open it. I know there is no door. But I want to go through this only. It will not happen. So what should I do? Accept it. Accept things as they are. You want to change your father? You have no option. You want to change your mother? No option. So what is to be done? Accept them. They have less time, but you have more time in your life. That's what general philosophy, not necessarily. Right? I am going. We have less time. So what should I do? I accept. I agree with you. How does it matter? See, when I lost my, assume that I am appearing for an interview. The chair doesn't fit me. That doesn't mean I am not fit for the chair. That chair doesn't fit me. That's it. Accept it like that. Then everything looks so good and happy for you, right? I am here only for a moment. We have only little time in this world. Na? Let us enjoy. Life. DrTPS books are all life. L-I-F-E. Live in full enjoyment. Learn in full enjoyment. Learning is an investment for future earning. Do you want to enjoy? Accept it. You want to object everything and then start creating problem. Some people that they enjoy. That objection itself is an enjoyment. Like it's like scratching on. Yeah, while scratching you enjoy. But after some time it becomes a wound. Oh, I should not have scratched. So itching should not become a scratching. At the itching itself you start put powder and then ignore it. That's much better. Ignoring is the best principle for all this.
Thank you. We will not ignore whatever you have said. We'll move on now. Thank you so much.
So thank you.